Welcome back to Two Aussie Thrifters. We are back from Retail Fest. That's going to be another video. But in today's video, we're going to address the elephant in the room, and that is the changes to the promoted listings attributions.
So one of our biggest goals for Retail Fest was to understand these changes a lot better. So we actually actively engaged with some of the marketing team and asked a lot of questions about what this implementation potentially means and how we can mitigate those changes in our business so that it doesn't cost us more money. So we are going to run through today what the changes are, and there is some new information available that we got at the Lunch and Learn, which I think is very important to go through. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what we are actually going to do in the next month or so to test what is going to work ongoing, because I think it's going to be a little bit of a trial and error period where we're going to have to try and use not just the general promoted listings, but also the PPC or the priority listings that they're pushing everyone to.
That is part of eBay's goal, definitely, but we are going to talk real strategies, real testing, so we can all move forward in the best manner.
With this situation, the natural reaction is panic to start with and a bit of negativity, and we're not going to delve into any of that today. We want to provide you with real strategies and real solutions for this change, because at the end of the day, we are playing on eBay's platform and they can change this sort of stuff at any period of time. We had this happen before when promoted listings came in the door. Everyone was a little bit stressed, everyone was a little bit worried about what's going to happen, but we're hoping today that we can give you some real actionable steps to help you move forward in your business and get past this little bip in the radar that we are all going to have to deal with. So let's get straight into it.
These changes are never comfortable, but it's so important in business to be agile and to be able to pivot when changes happen. So Brad's going to take you downstairs and run you through exactly what's what.
All right, guys, let's go through the actual communication that was sent out by eBay on about the 23rd of May, I believe. A week before Retail Fest, we obviously all got this email, but I want to kind of go through what they've said here and kind of break it down, and then also talk about what was spoken about at the Lunch and Learn on Thursday and some more context around this, because it's not just what it says in the email, there are some other implications that we need to be aware of. So I'm just going to read it word for word. I've got it on my phone here. I'll pop it up on the screen for you guys so you can see it as well. So it says, as a user of eBay advertising, we want to make you aware of two new promoted listing features launching 24th of June 2025 on eBay Australia, UK, France, Italy, and Spain. So exclusive ad placement with priority campaigns. Campaigns using a priority strategy will get exclusive access to the first ad slot positioned at the top of eBay search results, which will help your listings get more visibility to help increase your chances of a sale. If you're already using priority campaigns, you don't need to do anything. You'll automatically benefit from the increased visibility and continue to only pay for clicks on your ads. You'll also still have access to advanced tools like smart targeting and suggested campaigns. So that one there, I don't think there's too much there that we really need to talk about. Apart from top slot and search going to priority strategy, I don't think there's any sort of huge changes there that is going to be severely impactful, especially if we're talking about fees and I guess your bottom line. But this next part is probably the important part, that as I'd say secondhand sellers are probably using general campaigns more often than some, I guess, multi-SKU businesses. So I'll read this and then I'll go back and talk about what I think the important parts of this are. Starting from June 24th, items listed on eBay Australia, UK, France, Italy, and Spain, and promoted with a general strategy will use the following attribution definition when reporting sales and charging ad fees. An attributed sale will be when any buyer purchases the promoted item within 30 days of any click on the ad, regardless of whether the buyer themselves clicked on the ad. The item must be promoted at the time of click and at the time of sale. The seller will be charged the ad rate at the time of the sale. You continue only pay when your item sells, so this will remain the same. As always, we recommend monitoring your performance and adjusting your strategy accordingly. Thank you, eBay advertising team. So I think the key parts of this communication is talking about attribution. Now, this is a kind of a lot of like technical speak here, but essentially there's kind of a couple attribution methods currently on eBay. There's obviously when you promote an item, a person clicks on that item, they come into your store and they buy that item. So therefore it's attributed to that particular promoted listing. And then you've also got like the haloing, which they talk about at the moment, which is changing in the future, which is very important as well, which we will get into, where someone finds an item that you have promoted, comes into your store, buys 5 items. All of those 5 items will be attributed to that initial promoted sale or that promoted listing, because they have found your store through that promotion that you have set up, which to me makes sense. I know there's some kind of controversy around that at the moment, but that's kind of irrelevant going forward anyway. So we don't need to delve into that. The important part with this communication, and therefore what we spoke about at Retail Fest, was the attribution if anyone comes and clicks on that item. So say, for example, I have this DJI mic set up on eBay, and you as a buyer come in and just have a look at my item through a promoted listings, but you don't buy it. And then within 30 days time, someone else comes in through organic search, that item will still incur the promoted listing because the other buyer found you through that promoted listing. So we don't need to get into whether we believe that is correct or not. That is what is going to happen. Strategy about how we're going to mitigate these changes and try to move forward with these changes is really important, which is what I want to talk about next. Before I do that though, I do want to talk a little bit about why they are doing this. And this was one question that a lot of people asked at Retail Fest, is like, what is the goal behind this whole change? Obviously, eBay want to make sure that they're making the most amount of money. They're a business after all. They have shareholders. They want to make sure that their side of the coin is making the money. So that's probably part of it. But I think the main push is they want to start moving people to a pay-per-click or the priority strategy, because that's kind of like the industry standard. If you look at Amazon and a lot of those sorts of places, it is all based on PPC, pay-per-click, where you're essentially paying for traffic based on keywords. So you're trying to compete for a keyword so that when someone's searching for, let's say, Ritz biscuits, for example, you're the first person that comes up on search. So that's kind of what they're trying to do. They're trying to push everyone away from the general strategy as much as possible and use PPC on a more consistent basis. And their argument behind this is that essentially PPC can be a cheaper strategy and you're also more targeted, and therefore you're kind of not clogging up search. So I think they've found over time that using the general strategy, everyone's promoting everything, right? Especially in the industry we do, because we have one-off items. We kind of need to have that promoted strategy across most of our items. So in their eyes, it's kind of clogging search, it's clogging the way that the system is operating. So they want to kind of create a better strategy where only the stuff that needs to be promoted is promoted. So I can kind of understand that. And as I said, there are some people that will disagree with this strategy. There are some people that understand that PPC can work really well. So that's the why. That's why they are doing this. They want to get people onto priority as much as possible. There'll be some cases where general still is the best thing to use, but as a general strategy, they want people to be using PPC or priority, because that's the future of eBay, essentially, is what the communication has been kind of about over this period of time. So let's get into what we are actually going to be doing going forward and what you can kind of be looking at on your account to kind of have a better understanding of what will work for your business. Okay, so we've talked about all of this. Now you understand what the reasons are behind this. You understand what the challenges are going to be. So now we need to work out how we actually move forward with these new strategies and how we can save ourselves money, because eBay have straight out said, and they're not trying to hide it, if you stay with a general campaign currently and you have a lot of stuff under that general campaign, it will cost you more money. They are not trying to hide that at all. They've been very clear about the direction of what this is going to look like going forward, and they have also given us some tips and tricks. They had some sit-down meetings and looked at our individual store and went through what they thought we could implement to potentially save ourselves money long term. So we'll be testing this sort of strategy ourselves. So a strategy that myself and Jazz have spoken about separately to the information that we've been provided from eBay, so this is just our opinion and things that we're going to try, is we're actually going to start segregating our promoted strategies. So for stuff we don't think needs to be super highly promoted, like maybe some of our new stock that we get in, we're going to do a lower percentage general campaign. So like maybe a 2% or a 4% campaign, and we're going to kind of have buckets. So we're going to do like a 2%, a 4%, a 6%, an 8%. Obviously, there's going to be categories where we're going to need to be stronger in, like some pre-owned clothing and stuff like that. It's probably going to require some of those higher promotions. But essentially by doing that, we're kind of staggering out how much money we're essentially going to be paying for all these promoted strategies, and we're also providing ourselves a little bit of a buffer so that maybe not every campaign will be triggered all at the same time. So that's one part of our strategy. The other strategy is we are going to be testing out the priority strategy. Now, there are some really good tools with the priority strategy that you can use. There's some AI inbuilt into there. There's some smart targeting. So you don't need to be like super well versed to actually get into it. I think there's even some promotions out at the moment where you can get a little bit of a kickback on your priority strategies. So we're probably going to be targeting a specific type of our stock that we're going to use PPC for, maybe some of the better quality brands that we're kind of targeting and we get in regularly. Probably for us, R.M. Williams, obviously we get a lot of that down here in SA. So that might be one thing that we try at a PPC or a priority listing basis. When I say PPC, I mean pay-per-click. They refer to it as CPC, I believe, but I think it's just easier to say PPC. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have those two strategies running in sync with each other. One thing I will say is do make sure that you don't have the same listing in a general strategy and then a PPC, because you will double up on that and you end up paying some pretty significant fees on the back end. So the advantage of pay-per-click is you are only paying for the click. So if no one's clicking on your priority strategy, you're not going to be paying for it. So that is one positive of that direction. I think the other side of that is we are potentially going to have to learn that strategy as pre-owned sellers, because to me PPC is kind of a little bit more, I guess, comfortable for people that have multi-SKU quantities, because potentially you're going to get another buyer come in the door later on. So you're kind of like balancing out that cost a little bit. Whereas for us, it's kind of like a one and done. So that's why we're going to try and focus on some keywords around specific brands. So that's our approach to this situation. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments below what your strategies are. I know there's been a lot of like struggle and concern and like a bit of anger around this in the community, but I don't think that's positive, and it's not the direction that we need to focus on as eBay sellers. This change is happening regardless of if we believe in it or agree with it as sellers. This is what eBay are doing, and why they are doing it, I can kind of understand. So for us, it's all about moving forward, adding things into our business that are going to help us manage this change. Change is difficult. Change definitely brings up some flashing red signs in your head and you want to kind of avoid it. But I think if we want to continue as a business and continue to grow on eBay, we really need to change our strategies going forward. So please let me know what you guys are going to be doing. We are going to be having a huge discussion about this on our mentorship group. I will put a link in the description if you guys would like to head over there. It's only $4.99 a month to get into that live stream, $4.99. So super cheap, and we have a great community over there sharing this type of information. There was even some people from the mentorship group that were at the eBay part of Retail Fest, so they will be able to provide some further context to this as well. So come and join us over there if you want some more insights into this, and we'll also be sharing our results that we get over the sort of next 4 to 6 weeks in that space, so you guys can get direct access to that as well. Thanks so much for being here. Stay tuned, because next week we will be talking a little bit more about Retail Fest as a whole, not just this subject. We had a great time and we wanted to thank everyone that said hello to us while we were there. All right guys, we'll see you next time on Tawsy Thrifters. Bye for now.